Good morning. I am Virginia James, and I will be your moderator for this class. Today is March the 14th, 2024. You have been muted. Please continue to monitor your mute and video buttons during class. Welcome to this Zoom class given by some students of the Institute of Divine Metaphysical Research. We are a Zoom class and of international, honest-hearted, truth seekers of Yahshua the Messiah. This is a school and not a church, and neither are we affiliated with any religious organization. This school is a nonprofit, non-denominational, religious, and scientific research organization dedicated to showing proof of the existence of Yahweh, our Elohim, and the operation of his eternal purpose, pattern, and plan, operating through eternity to this present day. This school was established as a result of a divine vision and divine revelation given to the founder, Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley, in the state of Ohio in the year of 1931. The school was incorporated in the state of California in the year of 1958. Classes are held in Canada, United States, Jamaica, England, and Zambia, and students studying in Bahamas, Ghana, Malaysia, Australia, and certain other foreign countries. The host is Dr. Lenore Allen of Brooklyn, New York. In this school, we teach the true, correct, and original names and title of the Father, the Word, or Son, and the Holy Spirit, which are contained in the original Hebrew text. The true name of the Heavenly Father is Yahweh. Yahweh has been improperly substituted with the title Lord. The true title of the Word or Son is Elohim. Elohim has been improperly substituted with the title God. The name of the Holy Spirit manifested in or out a physical body is Yahshua. Yahshua has been erroneously substituted with Jesus Christ. Lord and God are titles and not names. The Apostle Paul, filled with the Holy Spirit, tells us in 1 Corinthians 8 and 5 that there are lords and gods many. But we now know that each Lord must have a name and each God must have a name also. Elohim is a title, but unlike Lord and God, Elohim is a divine title. That means that Elohim is a title that our Creator chose for himself. Jesus is a name, but it's an erroneous name. A minor investigation on your part in a good dictionary or encyclopedia will prove that neither the Hebrew language, the Greek language, nor the Latin language have any characters or letters in their alphabet that would produce the sound that is made by this letter J. Neither is there a J in the English alphabet until some 1600 years after the Messiah's death. Therefore, such names as Jesus and Jehovah are impossible renderings of the true and original name of our Father and his Son. Christ is a title just like Lord and God. Yahweh is pure spirit, and in his pure spirit state, he is incomprehensible, inscrutable, and indiscernible. He is the ultimate source, substance, limits, and bounds of everything. We have Yahweh in this pure spirit state symbolized on this Moses chart as a cloud. Yahweh is not a cloud. He merely chose a cloud to symbolize himself because a cloud has no particular or descriptive shape or form. We have drawn this cloud all around the edges of this chart to show you that everything on this chart is within the cloud. In like manner, everything in the universe abide within the pure spirit state of Yahweh. Yahweh, knowing that man could not perceive of him in his pure spirit state, took on shape and took on form within himself as Elohim. This is the Word or Son, a super incorporeal being that is having the shape and form of a man, but without flesh and blood. This form can only be seen in divine visions and understood in divine revelations. Later on, this self same spirit manifested himself in a physical body and walked the earth plane as Yahshua the Messiah, whom the world called Jesus Christ. Now there is only one name given unto salvation, and we must know that name. So the simple yet intelligent question that we should ask ourselves is, what was the name of the Savior during the time he walked the earth plane? A further understanding of this name, Yahshua, and title, Elohim, may be had by reading the preface of the Holy Name Bible. Also in this school, we teach by the divine pattern of the universe. It is called divine pattern because it is Yahweh's pattern. After Yahweh led the children of Israel out of Egypt, he called Moses atop Mount Sinai and showed him the tabernacle pattern in a vision. Yahweh instructed Moses to build one exactly like it in the wilderness of Sinai. The pattern consists of most holy place, a holy place, and a court round about. These three compartments make up the one tabernacle pattern. In this school, we show proof that everything in the universe is made and operates according to the scripture and functions of this divine threefold tabernacle pattern, and that absolutely nothing escapes the pattern. In this class, we teach the mission of Yahshua the Messiah, which was to fulfill the old covenant and to write the new covenant in our heart and mind by the preaching of the gospel. The 10 primary objectives are as follows. First, to help you find and know Yahweh, our Elohim, as he really is and actually exists. Second, to form a nucleus of universal brotherhood of humanity in Yahshua the Messiah without distinction of race or nationality, creed, sex, caste, or color. Third, to investigate the unexplained spirit law or so-called law of nature and the power latent in man. Fourth, to encourage and promote the study of the scriptures, comparative religious, psychology, philosophy, and modern practical and occult science. Fifth, to extirpate current superstition, skepticism, and ignorance. Six, to learn, know, and understand the operations of Yahweh's eternal purpose through the dispensations and ages. Seven, to discern and avoid being deceived by Lucifer, the serpent, the devil, the dragon, or Satan and his demons, operating the mystery of iniquity on earth through the dispensations of time. Eighth, to earnestly contend for the common salvation and faith which was once delivered unto the sons or children of Yahweh. Ninth, to make known that Yahweh from the beginning ordained there is no other name given among men whereby man can be saved, saving the name of Yahshua the Messiah. 10th, to inherit eternal life now in the kingdom of Yahshua the Messiah with the hope of immortal glorification in the new earth state. Our watchword is peace, and our slogan is to speak the truth. May we have a prayer by Dr. Lucy Altman and a song by Dr. Joyce Van Hook, a scripture reading by Dr. Edna Mixon, Proverbs, the 2nd chapter, and our two readers, Dr. Kane and Dr. Van Hook Joyce. Thank you.
Good morning. Let's all be thankful. Let's all be happy and glad in our hearts that Yahweh, our Elohim, has called us out of the world and has revealed to us his divine truth, this great gospel of his son, Yahshua the Messiah, who came in the likeness of sinful flesh and died for our sins, that we would have a hope of salvation through his sacrifice, through his atonement, and through his redemption. We thank you, O Yahweh, that you've revealed to us your divine purpose and plan of salvation, and we ask you to continue teaching us more and more and growing us in all wisdom and in knowledge, that we may be one with you in spirit and in truth. We thank you. We praise you for all you've done for us. And in the name of your son, Yahshua, may we all say together, hallelujah.
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 Good morning, brethren. And I'm just so grateful Yahweh just put it on my heart to share a song with you. Actually, it's two songs in one because I thought of two dear sisters this morning. So, for whatever this means, please receive it in the spirit that it is given. The love of Yah woke me up early this morning. The love of Yah started me on my way. The love of Yah is my comfort in time trouble. Oh, and there's just no love but the love of Yah. The hope of the world is Yahshua. The hope of the world is Yahshua. Because somewhere in the land, someone's crying for bread, crying by day, oh, and crying in dread. If I were you, I tell you what I would do. I try Yahshua, the hope of the world. The love of Yah woke me up early this morning. Yes, it did. The love of Yah started me on my way. The love of Yah is my comfort in time of trouble. Oh, yes, he is. and there is no love but the love of Yah, but Yah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Praise Joshua.
Hallelujah. That was
That's
beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, class.
Mhm.
Good morning, class.
Good
I will be
morning.
reading. Good morning. I will be reading Proverbs, the second chapter. I will be reading out of the Holy Name Bible, containing the Holy Name version of the Old and New Testaments, critically compared with ancient authorities and various manuscripts, revived by A.V. Trainer. So that will be Proverbs, the second chapter, found in the Holy Name Bible on page 762. My son, if thou wilt receive my words and hide my commandments with thee, so that thou incline thy ear unto wisdom and apply thine heart to understanding, yea, if thou criest after knowledge and liftest up thy voice for understanding, if thou seekest her as silver and searcheth for her as for hid treasures, then shall thou understand the fear of Yahweh and find the knowledge of Elohim. For Yahweh giveth wisdom. Out of his mouth cometh knowledge and understanding. He layeth up sound wisdom for the righteous. He is a buckler to them that walk uprightly. He keepeth the paths of judgment and preserveth the way of his sons. Then shalt thou understand righteousness and judgment and equity, yea, every good path. 10th verse. When wisdom enter into thy heart, and knowledge is pleasant unto thy soul, discretion shall preserve thee, understanding shall keep thee, to deliver thee from the way of the evil man, from the man that speaketh forward things, who leave the paths of righteousness, to walk in the ways of darkness, who rejoice to do evil and delight in the forwardness of the wicked, whose ways are crooked and forward in their paths, to deliver thee from the strange woman, even from the stranger which flattereth with her words, which forsaketh the guide of her youth, and forgetteth the covenant of her Elohim. For her house inclineth unto death, and her paths unto the death. None that go unto her return again, neither take they hold of the paths of life, that thou mayest walk in the way of good men, and keep the paths of the righteous. For the upright shall dwell in the land, and the perfect shall remain in it. But the wicked shall be cut off from the earth, and the transgressors shall be rooted out of it. I have just read for you Proverbs, the second chapter. May we all say hallelujah.
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 We thank everyone for their participation. I will now turn this class over to our host, Dr. Lenore Allen.
Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure and an honor to be among you once more. What I wanted to ask, which should have asked, and we should ask every day, is there anyone who is among us today who has not been to several of these classes? Do we have any visitors, or do we have what we refer to as new people among us? The other day, the woman was saying that somebody came in 3/4 through the class, and what we should have done is just stop and regroup. So if there's anyone, and don't feel, what's the word? Don't feel nervous. Don't feel like, well, I don't want to stop. I don't want to interfere. The first aim is to help you find and know Yahweh, our Elohim, as he really is and actually exists. And the truth of the matter is, every time we take the time to go back and explain the basics of the vision of this man received, Dr. Kinley received in 1931, you always pick something up for yourself. It is not a waste of time. It is, if we're in the right heart and mind, it is a joy to go back and to share what has been shared with us. So is there anybody out there, or is anybody sitting with somebody who's there for the first time, second time, third time? Don't be shy. Okay, last chance. No, if somebody comes in during the time and everything and you want to stop us, we will stop. That's our job. So who's ever reading, I think that we were left off. The reason that I took that thing about the scripture reading, I was thinking about wisdom, is because this person who was referred to as Locklace had a vision, no, had and the theory of cosmology, or the origin of the creation. And Dr. Kinley was talking about that they really didn't know what they were talking about, and they, in fact, had no wisdom, intelligence, knowledge. Those are the gifts of Yahweh. So that's why I thought it would be interesting for us to know how Yahweh feels about one of his attributes, which is wisdom. So we can start off right here if everybody's ready. There's nobody new?
Dr. Allen, I don't have anybody new or anything. I just want to know, is this the largest of the print that we can get from your end?
Okay, let me see what I can do. That's a good question. Oh no.
There we are.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I need it
That's much,
myself, so yeah, thank you.
that's much better.
Thank you.
Yes.
Shall we begin reading?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay. Now that's the Locklace theory of cosmogony, or origin. We go on back into what you just about think into oblivion now. The cosplastic theory of evolution of the creation, now called cosplastic. Those words means this, that something molded and then shaped and then formed, plastered them together, and then they call that cosplastic. That's a fable. Be hard for you to find that in them books. Then we come on down to another one, and that's what we call the more modern, and that's the uh, plantesimal system of cosmogony. I want to let you know I study them, and I want to let you know I know that everybody else knows. I want you to know what everybody else knows. Now, the plantesimal means this, that the sun was produced out yonder. First, it was in its gaseous state, and as friction operated among the friction operated among the atomic elements of matter, which is particles of dust that invades the atmospherical realm, and as they continue to operate, flying off in the center of centrifugal force, then they crystallize. And then as they crystallize, it's just like rolling up a snowball and a piece of break off and fly out yonder and form this, that, and the other planets. Now that's the planetesimal system of cosmogony. Planetesimal. They're creating the boys, scientists. And finally, they got down to the place, they said, well, look here. You remember reading back there about the dinosaurs? Now we didn't got so smart now. We're gone on back to the prehistoric. Oh, we're so smart. You couldn't touch us with a red hot. Said, now you know good and well them big old dinosaurs, says the archaeologist has dug down there and the geologist has dug down there in the earth, and they've got these great big bones of those mastodons, and they assemble them together, the structure. And they've put them in the museums all around over the country, and you can go on in there and see them. They're great big ones. And now what happened to them? Well, said, yes, I'm sorry and all, but now wait a minute. Now, this is prehistoric. There ain't nobody wrote on this. And what we're doing now, that's pre, before history began to be written. Pre or before historic. We're scientists. We're researchers. What happened to them? Said, well, I'll tell you. During the glacial period of the earth, she was in a frigid state. The snow and ice melted off of the mountains. The glacial period slid off and then covered up and inundated or covered them dinosaurs, and their bones are petrified in the clay. Whew, that's way back yonder. In the coniferous and the ocean, in the oceanian, they are prehistoric. He said, now that's why I believe in studying science, because I've gone on beyond the cloud, and we're presenting to you nothing but facts, as if, though, Elohim didn't create the dinosaurs, and as though this thing was prehistoric. And Moses, he is writing the history of the creation of the heaven and earth. And he's telling you on the fifth day, those creatures and things, the dinosaurs, and all the rest of them, he's writing the history of the creation itself. Here's matter, and every creation, and Moses is writing that. Now, how can you get any further back than that, writing the history of it himself? Can't be nothing prehistoric. That's not wrote of. But this is coming from Elohim, and Moses is just writing down what he sees in the vision. Okay, now that's back here. You better get over yonder. Pardon me. You better get it over yonder. Get on that board. Get that chalk. I'm trying to play Dean now. And I'm telling you that Elohim has elevated me all the time. Now then, that's the antediluvian and the post-diluvian. No, you just might just as well sit here. You ain't going nowhere and learn nothing about it. Now then, Moses is writing the history. Now he said in these days back here, Moses said there was giants, man made in the likeness and image of Elohim. And Elohim is great. And this is that great and heavenly anthropomorphic being there that occupies eternity, and man being made in his likeness and his image. He was a great big man, wasn't no runt like me. And so also were the animals. And you have the dinosaurs. See that? Man, great big man, like a great deity and a great big man. Everything is made from the man. Now, as man's comprehension and understanding, which the mystery was hid in Elohim until the time for it to be revealed. Now, when it's revealed, what that mystery which is hid in Elohim is revealed, and as they begin to see visions and revelations, then that man, he begins to diminish. He begins to diminish as a great big physical man. And here his intelligence and understanding begins to and enlarge, and that little brain, that little thing within your body, is going down, and down goes the dinosaurs. The dinosaurs will get down to a mouse or get down to an ant, just like you. You come on down. You're a little bitty fellow, a little bitty runt, but you're enlarged in your intelligence, in the capacity of your intelligence. See what happened to the dinosaurs. See what happened to the man. See what happened to them giants. Well, you can go over here in the islands around and you can find little pygmies, even smaller than we are. And as we come on down from one generation to another, now we're down to this. Then somebody said, well, now, why then are you diminishing like that? Why? I just got through telling you a while ago that you come from spirit, and you're on your way back. Can't you see why you're diminishing here? You're going back yonder. Oh, me. It's wonderful, ain't it? Ain't that right? It's so great. Please continue, Dr. McCain.
Now, what happened now? You lost the continuity of thought. I told you that Moses saw the earth surrounded by water back there in the beginning of his vision. And he saw this form first. And then he saw the tabernacle. Then he saw the earth surrounded by water that's in the beginning of his vision. Now that's so. Then John, he got to go on the Isle of Patmos. Patmos is surrounded by water. That's what an island is. If that's the way Moses seeing it back here, then that's what John's got to. That's why his life was preserved. That's why he couldn't be killed, because he had to get out there and confirm what Moses was writing. His life was preserved. Yahweh in that body preserved his life. Couldn't nobody put him to death. Couldn't nobody put Yahshua to death. He said, I of my own self, talking about the Jews killing the Messiah and the Gentiles killing the Messiah. No, that ain't the way it is. That was the purpose of Yahweh. He was the lamb slain before the foundation of the world. Yahweh knew what Adam was going to do before he put him in the garden. There ain't no surprise around here. Prepare the sacrifice before he put him in there. In other words, he declared the end from the beginning. Somebody said, well, I want to tell God on you. You know prayer changes things. I beg your pardon. It don't change a thing. You don't do nothing but recite. It ain't gonna change nothing. Purpose of Yahweh is going right on. Now, when you have the Holy Spirit in you, you'll pray. The Holy Spirit prays or in harmony with the purpose of Yahweh. And therefore, everything that was ever prayed or ever uttered by the inspiration of the Holy Spirit is never it's never gone unfulfilled. Now, the reason why you don't get no answer to them prayers, because James said that if you pray, you ask amiss or out of harmony with the purpose of Yahweh. That's the reason why you don't receive nothing, because you ask amiss. You're out there asking Yahweh for a loaf of bread, and there's people dying, a whole lot of things. Somebody here is just nutty enough to walk up and say, and they said this to me because people have been healed of all kinds of diseases right in this school. Am I lying? No.
No.
And he's not the only doctor, and he's not the only doctor incident. All kinds, cancer, ain't nothing happened to nobody. I told you that Yahweh gave me a vision and a revelation, since you seek a proof of Yahweh speaking in me. I told you that I have walked along the same Elohim that created the heaven and the earth, incarnated in this black body you see here. When I speak, I've spoken. And I don't care what it is. It's got to go if I say it goes. Somebody said, well, I don't believe it. It don't make no difference whether you do or not. You can lie against your own conscience if you want to. Yes, I know the country's full of ministers talking about that. Ain't that right? One fellow said to me, I'm going to tell you about it. Said, well, I took Dr. Frank B. Robinson advanced course. Dr. Robinson was out in California, said he had a plan prepared. He knew he was supposed to lose his home, and he sent his wife and children on back to Moscow, Idaho. And he's gonna stake up some money, the best he could, stack up some money the best he could. And out of what he had left of the profits, and then he gets despondent, and he threw himself across his bed, and he said, now he's going to pray his last prayer. Last one I ever prayed to an unknown God. He was despondent from heartbreak of him with tears streaming down his cheek. He woke up with this joy, and he's got out there. I ain't got time to go through the whole story. And so then he went to work, and he was put into execution, and he began. He even owned the Moscow Hour Times Star, had a great big typewriter in his own home, and he was multimillionaire. And this boy said he took that Dr. Robinson said when he threw himself across that bed, he talked with God, and he was teaching him in an elementary and an advanced course how to talk with God. Now here he comes up and says, I'm working for Wright Aeronautical. I'm a janitor too, mopping the floors and oiling them. I'm doing floors. He didn't want a regular job, but I'm offered a good job. They promoted me from mopping greasing, and oil. And this boy standing down there around the sub store, and he said that one thing about it, and he was talking about creation and talking about how wonderful Dr. Frank B. Robinson was. Now, I was in that business too. Then he said, I've got my invitation to go to be examined and be inducted into the Army. Said, now that's the only thing in my life that I don't want to do. Said, I don't want to go into the Army and kill nobody. That's against my principles and what I believe. He's standing there in the crowd, said, please don't call us up. Listening to him talk about how great Dr. Frank B. Robinson is, and an old soapbox and mop sitting right there by him. So I took to him and said, listen, I'm no world famous psychologist, and you see what I'm doing. But if you say you don't go to the Army, you don't go. What about that? I want to let him know my boss is here, said, I've already had my card to go down and be examined. I wanted him to realize that he was talking to God right there in that body. I want him to get that thought through his thick head, and that it was God in me. Now, I don't have no preeminence, and I don't think I'm boasting above you, because you're the same thing I am. And I said, if I say you don't go, you don't go. He said, well, hurry up and say it, because I don't want to go. I don't know how your pages end, but my pages don't end like yours, so you stop me when you want to, okay?
Okay, Doc, we'll stop. If you want, I can continue right here.
I said it don't work like that. I have to have witnesses for everything I do. Said, what must I do? Meet me on the corner of Wayne and Wyoming Avenues in Laughlin, Ohio, 7:30 p.m. sharp. I don't wait on nobody, he said. I'll be there. 7:30. I stepped off the Valley bus at the corner of Wayne and Wyoming Avenue in Laughlin, and that man stepped out of his automobile and said, here I am.
I walked across the street at the light. He said, what do I do now? I said, get back in the car. He got back in the car, and we went to Glendale, Ohio. He and we went to Sister Hodo's house. Would you mind standing up, Sister Hodo? Thank you. That's the woman's house we went to. I introduced him to the class, and I said, as I introduced him to the class, incidentally, there was another theological group there, too. Sister Harris was there. Get up. I want the people to see you. Sister Farley, you were there. Is anybody else was there at that meeting? Now I said to him, told them what he said, asked him to state his case, looked him straight in the face and said, now look, thank you. Now look, if there's nobody in the world that can put you in the Army, then I speak. I have spoken, pardon me, when I speak, I have spoken, thank you. They can't do that. Nobody can. Uncle Sam, Uncle John, or nobody else. Now, what I'm showing him is that was my Father that spoke in me, and nobody can override Elohim and do nothing. You can't understand. You don't know nothing about. You see that now? Then, John, don't you tell nobody. I have to cut it up short. We have to go. John went around whispering to everybody. It got circulated all around. And look, I just had a long string of them coming to me, to keep them out of the army. But I'll tell you, pardon me, to keep them out of the army. Gil, are you here? Stand up. There's one of them. Now look, I said, they'll put you in the army, but I'll take you out. Did I lie about it? You see, folks, this thing of running your mouth and yak and yakking and yakking and yakking and all of this stuff, this carnal mind, thank you, Gil. You get the point? And you don't realize that you don't recognize, and you telling me about, I'm in a hurry. I got to go. Good. Where? I ain't got time. Where? You tell me. And then you standing around here and you telling me God created the heaven and earth in 6 days. And here you can't get 2 hours and here you ain't got 2 hours to wait. You want me to tell you all about great God of this stellar universe in 2 hours and then put you to that was 4,000 years and they ain't understood the thing yet. Now, you want me to tell you all about it and when I do and when I do things to prove to you that it is my Father speaking in me, and I have did so many things, and as I said to you the other night, you don't know nobody. You never read after nobody. You don't know nobody did any greater things than I have done. And when I said that, I mean I'm in the Father. Cancer been healed. Dead been rising. These people are witnesses. They're not in this school following me around just because I'm cute or pretty or something or got a whole lot of money or something. They've come to me for bread. Doc, I'm broke. I don't have a penny. And I know you ain't got nothing. I'm talking about thousands, $2,000. Called a woman in Columbus, said, well, that man you're talking about, there ain't nothing to him. Her brother was in prison over in London, Ohio. She lived in Columbus. She said, well, look, if you let me have your car, mine ain't running so well. I want to go over there to Springfield. I want to go in and see Doc, get my brother out, $500. Do you think that man's gonna let you have $500? Said, that's all right. You just let me have your car. Well, now, it just proves to you that he won't. You take my new car. I'm going to prove it to you that there ain't nothing to that man. She got in that car. Come over there to my house. Kellum's sitting here, looking at me, and a whole lot of I could just take me 2 or 3 weeks to tell you about it. All these things that's happened in this school. $500. And he's proven to her that there ain't nothing to me. She took up to $500 and went on back to London and got the boy and took him on home, took his car on back to him. His wife sitting back there. I can't run around here and lie like these dogs, and all these people know all about these things. I'm not trying to parade myself as being anything over above anybody else. I'm not. And I ain't got no patience and no time to get up and talk about. But I let everybody speak in this pulpit that wants to. I've been doing it for going on 34 years and demand for you to sit there and listen to them. And some have got sore with me about it. But I want you to see the difference for yourself.
Now, John,
go ahead, Doc.
Now, John was on the Isle of Patmos, and it's surrounded by water, and the earth is surrounded by water. And John had to be on there, and Moses seen him in this state, 24th chapter verse. John, being on the Isle of Patmos, he had to see the same thing, had to be surrounded by water here, and it's surrounded by water here. And now John has got to confirm this vision of Moses because the end is declared from the beginning. So in the beginning of this and in the beginning of that, it's got to be the same thing. So he's on the Isle of Patmos for the word of Yahweh and for the testimony. Now Moses is this way, coming from Alpha to Omega, and John is here going back to confirm it. So John, when he's on the Isle of Patmos, he hears a voice behind him as the voice of many waters. Why that? Why that? Moses said, and the Spirit of Yahweh moved upon the face of the waters. And John said he had to have heard that voice as a voice of many waters. It was behind him. Why? Because Moses is going this way. Show it to him. Now you all watch these boys that are on these charts. So Moses is going this way to the end, and John is coming back from the end back to the beginning, looking at it. So he hears a voice behind him, and he had to turn. And when he turned, he saw him with the garments down to his feet and a golden girdle about his paps, just like Moses saw him there. And we told you a while ago that Yahweh was the archetype pattern. We told you that the purpose of Yahweh was to gather all that there was in heaven and all there was in the earth into his son. Is that what we told you? Now then, we told you about him seeing that tabernacle, his feet as burnished brass is that golden altar. The kidneys in your body is the door and the veil, and each one of these vessels pointed to him. But this was he that was transfigured or transformed in you. And that's why he had to see him. Head white cloud, your brain gray hair. The Alpha and the Omega, the Ancient of Days, the abode in the cloud, and you can picture that. Eyes, when that Shekinah, when the high priest went in there and threw that blood toward the mercy seat 7 times and finished the service in that tabernacle, a light flashed in there. The Jews called it the Shekinah. A light flashed in there. There was no other light in there. Now, if you look back in the chaoses in the first chapter of Genesis, there you see that Paul said that Yahweh Elohim that commanded light to shine out of darkness has shined in our hearts. Your mind, your ignorance, and your illumination of Yahweh that commanded the light to shine, and it shine in our hearts and abolish that chaoses and that carnal mind in this heart. It's flashed in that Shekinah. And then the high priest knew that Yahweh Elohim was pleased with the way he carried that service. And then once every year on the 10th day of October, which it don't fall on the same day all the time, you see where he's pointing to up there, the light that shineth out of darkness, just like Yahweh Elohim said, let there be light, and there was light. And Yahweh said, let there be light up here, the carnal mind. And Paul said that Yahweh Elohim, that commanded the light to shine out of darkness, is shining in our hearts to give a knowledge of the glory of Yahweh in the face of Yahshua the Messiah. You see that now? See why he did that? See why he even brought the earth in, and its amalgamation and conglomeration of coring mass, and then order, form, shape, vegetation, flowers, birds, the bees, and the whatnot. Now it's enlarged over there. This is showing here the enlarge over there. Now here's a smart aleck come up and say, look, I tell you right now, this is enough to get me killed. Now he come in here and said, you know, one thing, said, when the Jews that come out, he was a Jew himself. Saul, Gold, oh, Saul,
Gould.
I ain't talking about Dr. Harris. And he said, you know, I think that was when the Israelites went through here. They, Red Sea, said that was the low tide. And you got some speculations. Now, in your book, that was low tide. And you got some speculations now in your book that instead of being the Red Sea, the Sea of Reeds, said, I think it was low tide. Now you remember Yahweh Elohim told Moses to go down in Egypt and tell Pharaoh to let the children go 3 days journey in the wilderness that they made. I said 3 days. Now you would read over that and you know what it's all about. Going them 3 days, going right along. You don't know what it's all about. The Bible says, now you out to that. What did I say 3 days journey for? Just like I question about, well, why did Yahweh tell Isaiah that a virgin? Well, what did he say that for?
That's the way you got to talk to me. All right, 3 days journey. Now, look, there's 3 days from Ramses to the Red Sea, and the Red Sea opened up. I ain't got time to tell you all. The children of Israel baptized in the cloud and in the sea, and went through there on dry ground. Well then, if that's so, then you see there's the first, second, and third day. The waters covered the third day, and Elohim moved the waters off the face of the earth and let the dry land appear, and the vegetation penetrates the soil. Now, if the Jews could have understood that in the first place, when they rolled that stone up to the door and the Messiah was buried in Joseph's new tomb, then the seed of Abraham in the anthropological, as it was manifested in the vegetable kingdom, they never could have done that. And it was on the third day Elohim moved the waters off the third day here, third day there, and 3 days from that virgin mother brought forth that man, Adam. You see what I'm talking about? You see, Do you see how it works? All right. The Messiah is crucified and buried in Joseph's new tomb in the raised from the dead the third day. Why? What did the angel come down and roll the stone away on the third day? Why did the waters roll off the face of the earth on the third day? Why did Elohim tell Israel to go 3 days' journey into the wilderness and opened up the Red Sea? You see how you have to talk to me? You're reading the story. Back here, and it rained 40 days and 40 nights. Now, how do you know? How long was Israel in the wilderness? Try 40 years. How did you know? That might be a story steeped in the Greek cyclops of mythology, Hebrew superstition. You have to do better than that with me. In other words, I'm talking about proving the divine authenticity, the accuracy, and the infallibility of this Bible. How do you know why the ark was built? Lower deck, middle deck, and upper deck. How do you know? Israel came out of Egypt and went through Red Sea and camped in the wilderness 40 years, and then they crossed over the river Jordan unto Joshua and went into Canaan's land. You told me you was Pneuma, Psyche, and Soma, soul, body, and spirit. And you said that the ark was threefold. You said the man was threefold. You went into the atomic structure of the earth, and you said an atom was a proton, neutron, and electron forms one atom. Now I'm asking you why. You can call yourself a great big scientist. You're a smart boy. You see what I mean? Rained 40 days and 40 nights. Israel went 1 day for a year. Israel went into the wilderness and stayed there 40 years. Yahshua, the Messiah, to died and was buried in Joseph's new tomb and raised from the dead. Couldn't see him. Got to stay right there 40 days and 40 nights. The question is why? See how you have to talk to me? Said, I say, nobody know nothing about Elohim's business but Elohim himself or Yahweh himself revealed to him. So it'd have to be Yahweh in me, Yahweh in you. I don't have no preeminence over nobody. And now every transgression and every disobedience be avenged, and nobody got no way to escape. And the angels that sin, Yahweh cast them down. You can't get away with nothing.
And here,
go ahead, Doc.
And here's the Pope sitting over yonder with the keys, opening up heaven and all like of that. He's got the keys to the treasures of indulgence. Messiah said to Peter, whatsoever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever you loose in heaven shall be loosed on earth. And he's got the keys. Didn't Messiah say that whosoever sin you remit shall be remitted unto you? Didn't he say that to Peter? Sure, he said that to Peter. I didn't dispute that he did. But what your trouble is, you don't know what the keys are. If you did, you wouldn't be sitting up there making an ass out of yourself. Well, here's the keys. Tell them about the keys. Tell them what the keys are, Doc. Law and testimony. He comes just like that. He came in the volume of the book, just like written. That's the keys. And that's open up, and that's the same. And now he's with Peter, that what I tell unto one, I tell unto all. After he resurrected from the dead, he sat down and told them, said, these are the things that I've been telling you about Luke 24:44. Give them all the keys, and they speak according to the law and the testimony. James, he even writes about it. He said Elijah was a man subject to like passions, and he prayed, and it rained not in the days of Elijah, because he prayed for it 3 years and a half. And Elijah and the prophets was praying, and it didn't rain 3.5 years. At the end of the 3.5 years, he went back and prayed again, and it rained. Now somebody said, well, what's that got to do with the price of things in China? Joshua was walking around here 3.5 years, and the Holy Spirit was not poured out. It didn't rain 3.5 years. It didn't rain. The end of that 3.5 years, this man stepped aboard that cloud and poured out the Holy Spirit. It rained. You see what I'm talking about? You understand? That's why. Now, all of this whole chart, let me say this, don't make no difference where you look. And all those charts to look, it don't make no difference. Let me say these things to you. Now, it don't make no difference where you look. If you notice here, this is divided up all the way down. Now, I have to keep that thing just like that because I'm making everything by the pattern, all through heaven, all through earth, all through matter, and everything. Doc, put your pointer on the altar there. See that fire on the altar? See it? Fire. That's the brazen altar. That's in the pattern. You see that fire on that altar? And that altar is out in the outer court. You see that laver there with the water in it? Do you see that now?
Right.
Now that's the way the pattern is. Now that's the way I have to go, going right up by that pattern, because that's the function of the Spirit. And that goes all the way through the dispensations and ages. Tape 2, side 2.
And anytime you get your foot out of line, I got you. I got you. I don't care where you go, heaven or on earth or hell or anywhere. I got you. Now, it just ain't gonna do you no good to do no arguing. Nobody nowhere has been able to stand up under this in no time, nowhere. And I've stood up against the smartest of men. Now, you got that on the altar there. Now, here, you come up. You're a scientist and a smart aleck. Remember, I told you that whole chart was made, creation and everything made by that. Is that right?
Right.
And here you are a scientist, a smart aleck for the most part, and you dig down in the bowels and the womb of Mother Earth, and you say the integral part of the earth is fire. Is that right? Answer me.
Yes.
Now, here's the altar. It's the earth. See that fire on it? And it's down there. Don't you see the earth itself? All the scientists can do is confirm it. Over in Germany or over in Khrushchev, it don't mean nothing to me. It looks just like an ant crawling around on the ground. And if we over here in America knew what it was all about, we wouldn't need no shooting guns. Here it's a reed. Elohim, it's a reed, Elohim. Paul said, the weapons of our warfare, they are not carnal, but they're mighty through Elohim to the pulling down of strongholds and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of Yahweh, and bringeth every thought into the obedience of the Messiah. Now, Paul looked at that and said, now I beseech ye, brethren, by the mercies of Yahweh, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto Yahweh, which is your reasonable service. Dr. Mitchell said here the other night, and here was the comment that came from it. It come to me. He said, you can't live holy. I agree with him. You can't. He said, I don't want to believe that no more ignorance. Well, I'm telling you, you can't. If there's anything going to be lived, you had 4,030 some years to prove it. And you haven't done nothing about it yet. And why should you imagine that you should live something now? You just can't do it. Now, listen now. Now, if Yahshua is in you, Paul said, I'm crucified with the Messiah. Nevertheless, I live, yet not I, but Yahshua in me, the life which I now live. I live by the faith of the Son of Yahweh, who loved me and gave himself for me. You can't do nothing. It's the Spirit of Yahweh in you that controls you. That's what it is that delivers you. It's not you. And if you could have done that, wouldn't have been no sense in him coming to do it. You see what I mean? Always somebody standing around talking about I am and how great I am and what all I've done. You ain't nothing. There ain't nothing. Somebody says, well, I know you. I know your dad there. I saw George Kinley. Here, there wasn't nothing to him. He was a drunk. He didn't have no reputation, no coat of arms or nothing. I don't see nothing outstanding about him. Talking about my father in the flesh. There ain't nothing to your old man. Everybody knows him. Well, listen, there ain't nothing to my old man, and there ain't nothing to you nor your old man, like old man's old man running back to Adam.
You see what I mean? The Pope over here walking around talking him and his holiness. Why the hell with it? You know what I mean. All of our righteousness is as filthy rags. You and your righteousness, him and his righteousness, and you all tightened and pumped up in your carnal mind, thinking you're doing something. And you know good and well you won't hardly get out down to the bottom of them steps down there before you think something you ought not to have thought. You see what I'm talking about? About them hypocrites around. I'm talking about in these churches, you know, the devil done said, do you know if you get off, cut that stuff out and come on and start on your way to heaven. And he takes starting talking about the prodigal son and that kind of stuff. Is that right?
Right.
Is that what the preacher's doing there? Is that right? The Protestant says, well, look here, what's in heaven? Well, I don't know, but I'm going and see what. Do you understand? That ain't no good. Yahweh would tell you all about what's in heaven. Paul said, I knew a man about 15 years ago exalted. The devil just ain't seen through these things. I ain't got no business inviting you to go somewhere that I don't know where I'm going. That don't make no kind of horse sense. Ain't that right? It's silly. It's ignorant. Then you stand around here and somebody shove you down in some water, and then you get up here and lie. You sit up here and eat some crackers and drink some grape juice, testify that the body of the Messiah. You say, Yahshua said for us to do that. He didn't say no such thing. You can't read nothing like that out of the Bible.
That's right.
You say, he said, go and perform the Great Commission. He never sent nobody to baptize nobody in water. You can't read it out of the Bible. Pope over there washing feet, showing how humble he is. Sneaking, lying bastard. What you say that for? I ought to put some more to it. Oh, now what do you say that? Now somebody think, well, now you hear that man stand up there cussing. Now you know that ain't nothing to him. Get back there in the Garden of Eden. John 8:44 says, he's a liar right straight from the beginning, and he won't be chastised by the scriptures, won't, the law and the testimony, and won't be chastised. 12th chapter Hebrews says, every son that he receives, and he said, no man goeth to the Father but by me. He that cometh to me, I will in no wise cast out. Is that right?
Right.
You see what I mean? That's what he said. But now listen, every son whom he receives, knowing that he has been carnal minded and lost, he chastises his carnal. You know what I'm talking about? Chastise? Chastise him how? By the scriptures. Now, if you will be without chastisement, you won't be chastised by the scriptures, and you're going on with your hard head, then you are a bastard and not a son. And that's what these people are out there are doing. They won't stand corrected by the scriptures. And therefore, I said that the old satanic spirit has been incarnated in them. And therefore, I said they were old, lying bastards. I want to be understood. I believe he said in John 8:44, he was a liar right from the beginning. The mystery of iniquity works right with it. You all sick and tired of this?
No. Now, anyway, this works right here, up and down here. This is nothing but the same thing. Nothing else but the same thing all the way down through the ages, creating of anything, animate and inanimate, man, beast, the water, atoms, molecules, yeah, everything the same. David said in the 19th division of Psalms, said, the heavens declare the glory of El. The firmament showeth forth his handiwork. Day unto day showeth forth speech. Night unto night say there is no sound where their voice is not heard. These planets and all talk, and they're singing the praise and the glory of Yahweh, where their voice now. So it's simple. They turn right in here, and any man that stood out and looks up at the sun, moon, and stars, and you show him where the thing is where the thing is back up, see the sun, the real sun of Yahweh. You see the stars, the real angelic hosts. And that's what's in John, that he understood all about cosmic stream of consciousness, and also out there in the universe. You talk about the blue, purple, and scarlet veil. sometime go off somewhere into the country and look up at the mountain and look down and see how that blue and that scarlet is blended and that sun is going down. You understand what I'm talking about? You understand? Here's Joshua the Messiah when he died in Joseph's and was buried in old Joseph's new tomb. Sun going on down. Well then, now I look back there and 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 see whether Moses is lying or not. I see that when Moses said that Adam was in the Garden of Eden, say, look, they ate that fruit. I got to cut it up short. Now listen at me and see what I'm talking about and understand it. Now then that Yahweh Elohim waited until the cool of the day. Why didn't he chase him out then? Wait until the cool of the day, until the sun was going down before he would drive him. And then he sent forth an angel with that flaming sword, then drive him on out of the Garden of Eden. Is that right?
Right.
Now, that's the first Adamic son in the flesh. Now, in that, it's got to be fulfilled and it's got to be repeated. And you always talking about the prodigal son. Oh boy, I don't have time to go into it. I'm just filled up as I could be. Then, if the Messiah is the second Adam, then if the sun is going down and he's out in the Garden of Gethsemane and he's out in the Garden of Eden, now when you know how to put the thing together, these lying dogs, then will you stop them from deceiving you? Put him out on the carpet. Don't be afraid. And there they were when Yahshua was out there on the cross dying, the blood running down out of his veins. He's going to go on into darkness. The Son of Yahweh hanging out on the cross and the Son of Yahweh in the sky, and the Son of Yahweh in the sky going down together, just like that Adam back there in the Garden of Eden. The sun is going on down, and Elohim is driving him out into outer darkness. The son, Adam. Now, if it's the way, then it's got to be fulfilled. Now here comes Yahshua, and there comes his angel out here with a flaming sword. What are you doing out there with a flaming sword? What do you come out there? Why do you come out there? Pardon me. What do you come out there like that? Don't you see that's coming? That cloud up there, there is a pillar of fire by night. Don't you see that angel? Don't you see that golden candle or the lampstand there? Don't you see it? Then here they got to come with a sword, a flaming sword out there in the Garden of Gethsemane. And you say, Elohim said to Adam back there in the Garden of Eden, after he committed sin, was committing sin back there committing sin back there in the sweat of his face shall ye eat bread until you return unto the ground. You say, that's what Yahweh Elohim said unto him back there. Now, there, great drops of sweat began to drop off his face, just like blood. And there he was back there.
You missed something. You said
I'm sorry. You say, that's what Elohim said unto him back there. Now, here comes Yahshua fulfilling. He's on out in the Garden of Gethsemane, and he begins to pray out there. Great drops of sweat begin to drop off his face like blood. And there he was back there in the Garden of Gethsemane, because the Garden of Eden back there, and they eat, and the sweat of his face shall he eat bread till he returns unto the ground. There they come out there with them swords and staves out there, Judas leading them with the torches. And he said to them, the prophets have said the shepherd would be smitten and the flock scattered. Peter calls out, through everybody leaves, I'm not going. And Joshua said unto him, deny me 3 times before the cock crows. In other words, what you gonna do? You gonna deny the Father, the Word, and the Holy Spirit. He's got to 3 times in order to get the whole entire Yahhead bodily, which is incorporeal in me, and you'll do that before the cock crows for morning. You understand what I'm talking about? I'm trying to show you how it really is. So now, and them prophecies got to be fulfilled. And that old Pete was out there in the court, and here there comes along the angels, or the Galileans, and the first one that seen old Pete running around here with Joshua said, hey, wasn't you one of them boys that was? Said, no, sorry, you got the wrong fella here. Ain't that right? You see what I'm talking about? And another one, woman, passing along, pretty soon says, wasn't you one of them boys? You look like the one of them. No, you're wrong about that. So they together insist on Peter being the one of them that was with him. He's arrested now. Said, you one of them there. He said, no, sir, I'm not one. Cockacoo. Cock-a-doodle-doo, I guess. There he was kept on going before Pilate and Herod, and him sweat rolled off of him until he returned unto the ground. And there he is out yonder on Golgotha, sweat just rolling off of him. And as the scripture said, until he returned unto the ground. Now here, when they took him down off the cross and laid him in Joseph's new tomb, he didn't return to the ground. Now he's gone back to the ground from whence the physical body come from. And there he was resting in Joseph's new tomb over the Sabbath day. By and by, very early in the morning, on the first day of the week, Mary, the 3 Marys, went down to the tomb. You understand what I'm talking about? And ye have gone this 3 days' journey, 3 days in Joseph's new tomb. The angel rolled the stone away, and here's John. He's out here on the Isle of Patmos, out there in the 20th chapter of Revelation, said, I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the keys of the bottomless pit out of the earth, having a great chain in his hand. This chain fits one age with each one of the other. Then he went on down and rolled that stone away and set up on it. Joshua was sealed and was planted in Joseph's new tomb, rose from the dead, and he spoke to Mary and said, now look here. He appeared to her first. Then you have to tell me all about why he appeared to Mary first. You don't you don't just read around, you talk around on the thing. You say, why did Satan appear to Eve first out there? For her. Why was the woman in adultery? Yahshua told her, go and don't sin no more. She was pointing to Mary. And when he resurrected from the dead, he appeared to her. Now I've had to die, just like Adam died back there for his wife. He's got to appear to the woman first. Now you go tell Pete and the rest of the brethren what he's doing is fulfilling jots and tittles. All right, that's what he's doing. My life. Now, you're going to have to come in here. Now, that's a must. Somebody say, well, I ain't coming. Well, that's all right with me. Don't bother me. My job is preaching the gospel. I ain't supposed nobody to do nothing. I'm supposed to tell you. If you won't adhere to it, that's your responsibility. And I talked to you about the disciples here. They come and stole him away. Now, the preachers say that he was bringing him before the, is that right? Okay. Right.
Right.
Now, where was he?
On top of that, where was Peter? 12th chapter of Acts of the Apostles. 12th chapter of Acts of the Apostles. It ain't doing nothing else but repeating itself. Not a thing else. About that time, ain't that right? About that time. About what time? You're reading in Acts of the Apostles. Now it says Herod stretched forth his hand to vex certain of the assembly, and he put James to death and took Peter in to bring him on back to Easter. And somebody else said, just reciting there and don't know nothing. And now then, it's nothing but a repetition. And Peter's out there in the prisons. Come on down there. He's down there in the prison. That's all right. You're all right. You're in the right place. Anyway, now they, 10 years, flood, 1 year, 10 days. Messiah ascended, tarried on earth, ascended 10 days. After the ascension, 10 days, outpouring of the Holy Spirit. I'm looking at what I'm talking about chronologically and everything. You see what I'm saying? What I'm talking about. So now 10 years from there, 10 years from there, 10 is concrete. It's got to be proven. Israel left out of Egypt. Now the Messiah said the soldiers. Is that what you said? You said the soldiers was at the tomb, guarding the tomb. Is that what you said?
Right.
You said, excuse me, you said that the Jews said, excuse me, you said that the Jews said the disciples come and stole him away. And that report was common. And even in the days of the Apostle Paul. Is that right? You see that? Now then, this is 10 years to the date. Down there, 12th chapter of Acts of the Apostles. Now, about that time, that's the time of the Passover. Killed James, put him to death. Got to see some blood there. Messiah was crucified out there on that cross. Proceeded on and took Peter and put him in jail because they took the Messiah down off the cross. Put him in Joseph's new tomb and vegetation. He planted down there, and on the third day, he created the man. Adam had to come out of the heart of the earth. Do you understand? Got to. Up to the grave. And I'm looking at blank, blank, blank. Okay. Now there's Peter. That disannulled that lie. And so he's buckled down between quadrants of soldiers right there. They didn't have no idea. They didn't have no idea that they was building that prison according to a specified pattern. They wasn't intending to do it because they had any knowledge. They wasn't intending to do it because they had any knowledge of the scriptures. And so now you see you understand what I mean? Now look at where he is. There he was bound down between the quadrants soldiers in old Philippian jail. They said he was over in Rome. That is 40 blank blank. Now that Peter had any intentions of doing it, but it is Yahweh. There he is, bound down between the quadrants of soldiers, bound down there, here. You said the angel come down to deliver him. He then watched him roll the stone away. So the same angel right down there in that old Philippian jail.
That's right.
Smote Peter on the side and he said, rise up and gird your sandals. Follow me. Ain't that right? Ain't that what that angel said? Messiah risen from the dead. And that angel that fell there, he's down in prison, just like Messiah was in prison in the tomb. 10 years, 10 is concrete. 10 years from there, it took place again. Herod intended to bring him forth after Easter there, after the Sabbath day in that cycle of years. That's what he was aiming to do, because he's seen it please the people, just like these hypocrite preachers trying to please the people, always telling them something because it pleases somebody. Man-made, man-made. That's why they don't make you understand nothing. Now that angel come down there and smote him on the side. He buckled on his sandals, and then that angel told him, follow me, just like he did at the tomb. And then he went on to the gate, and it opened of its own accord, just like the stone rolled away from the door down there. Mm-hmm. That angel told him, come on, follow me. And that ward opened up. Mm-hmm. When Peter had got to the outside wall, outside the prison, you see them doors and veils in there in that sanctuary. You said when the Messiah risen from the dead, he appeared to that woman. Mm-hmm. And she sent him up there to tell Pete and them that he'd risen from the dead. Mm-hmm. Pete released out of the prison. He come to the outer ward before he come to himself. And when he did come to himself, why, he went right on up to John Mark's house. He went to Mary, the mother, up there, and there was a damsel at the door, just like that Mary was at the tomb there. The damsel was at the door, and they was holding a prayer meeting in her house. Where was the damsel at? Where was the woman at the tomb? Why, old Eve back there in the garden. Because I'm looking at the thing all the time, up there at the door. And when she opened the door, she was amazed, dumbfounded, same as she was, just like Mary was at the tomb, just like Mary back there in the Garden of Eden. Yes, sir, children, you see that now? Now, let me say this too. Now, let me say this to you. Now, this is what happens. The average person that comes here, now everybody's welcome. Everybody's welcome. And it's no disgrace. It's no dishonor for you or anybody to be wrong about it. And nobody hasn't got anything to blow and boast about. Now you ought to be happy and glad to find out that you're wrong.
That's
That's
right.
right.
Shouting happy too, instead of being humiliated and embarrassed because somebody showed you up, because somebody made a fool out of me, and I'm not going back down yonder no more to be showed up. That's why the preachers can't stay around here, because every time you breathe and every thought that transpires through your mind, we've got you covered. Every thought you can think. That's the reason why. Let me say this. That's the reason why when we were in Hollywood, and you just seen Pope Paul over there, we're in Hollywood over there on the corner of Cahuga and Cole. I told you, stood right up in front of the class, just like I'm standing here now, stood right in front of the class and told you what Pope John would say. I don't know how long it was. You know, Freddie?
It was about 6 months before it happened.
About 6 months, somewhere, told you what he would say on a certain date. Now, Buster, if that ain't looking back before a thing gets in a man's mind and telling you, I told you he would say it on that date. And when that date come next morning, I went down and got the Los Angeles Times, living at 1230 South Windsor, bought the Times paper up there, said, cut it out of the paper, took it to school, cut it out of the paper and took it to school, and you read it.
That's right.
In the school. How many of you remember that? Hold your hands up. I stood right in this school in Cincinnati, just like you see me here now.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. Stood right up there, didn't go out to get a drink or nothing, stood there and told you the instant that Cardinal Stritch died.
Right.
Some of them got up and went out and turned their radio on in their automobiles, and it was on the news. The last breath just left his body. Any of you here present?
Yes.
Stand up or hold your hand up. Something. Pope Pius XII told a lie and said he saw the Messiah in the vision before he died. Didn't want it said about much. Didn't want it said about much because he was the vicar of Christ, and Christ had to communicate for him. It amounts to something, all right. See how holy I am and how righteous I am, and that. And I told you before he told that lie, that's what he was going to say. Now, how can he say that I know what I'm talking about when he stand before you year after year and tell you things before they happen and tell you if it don't happen like I tell you, then don't come back here. I told you that President Roosevelt, he was one of the last presidents in office. I told you that he would be elected and would not be in the White House 1 year from that date. He wasn't. He wasn't. I told you in Santa Monica that John F. Kennedy would be nominated, elected, and assassinated. Now, I'm just asking you, you can just believe in anything you want to believe. Now, just was he?
Yes. And I told you before it happened.
That's right.
I can tell you anything I want to tell you about anything, anywhere around in the world, anytime I get ready. I don't ask you to believe. You just wait and see. Now, can you predict long for enough? Can you predict long far enough to know a man, what he's gonna think at a certain time? Yeah, what he's gonna say and what he's gonna. Now you have to do better than that. You have to I've been doing this thing for 34 years, and they haven't never boxed me in. Truman called through the Pentagon in the war. Second World War is over. He told everybody in rights to sit down and quit work. Sit down, and there would be an announcement coming from the Pentagon on the public address system. And that man, get up, doctor, that man right there, his father, walked in my office. Is today the day? No, sir. There will be no announcement, not from the Pentagon today. You might as well go on back to work. That's the White House through the Pentagon. Wasn't me. The internal in the Second World War. Now, I had told them in 1935 about the Japanese was gonna bomb Pearl Harbor, about the Second World War, and wrote to Roosevelt and told him about it. Said, now look, Roosevelt, said, now if there's any scientific research bureau under the jurisdiction of the federal government, would you turn my letter over to them with your recommendation that they make an investigation of our work, because we're able to tell what's going on all over the world. Franklin Delano Roosevelt from Washington, D.C., he turned it over to the Smithsonian Institute, and Smithsonian Institute wrote me a letter and said, we're just sorry we've received the letter from, by the way, of the White House, and said, now we don't have no funds laid aside to make no such investigation. They thought I was another crackpot and another idiot, and they didn't have no time to fool with it. And so they didn't pay no attention to it. But I'm asking you, did they bomb Pearl Harbor?
Yes.
Did they? Then how can you say that I don't know? In conclusion, now all I'm doing is just telling you, as this thing comes down through here and repeats itself through the ages, I'm looking at the thing revealed, what's gonna happen. Then I'm looking right straight at it. And when you get right back into the real essence of me, I am incarnated in this body. I don't know nothing as a man, but it is that it's my Father in me, and I am sent to you in these last days, and I've had my pants kicked real good for disputing and arguing with these folks. If it wasn't them robbing me, I'd I'd they done killed me they would have killed me a long time ago. The Muslims tried it a long time ago and all. Whipped me, beat me up in the street in Cincinnati, Ohio, tried to make me take this back, tell me how Allah was God. Yes, I know. I understand you teach the Arab nations and all. I understand the thing. I know about 627. He is an Arab. And this man sitting up here in this pulpit, sitting up here in Allah, Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, you know just as well as I do, God never sent nobody out to do no fighting with no sword, no things, or nothing like that. And you, that Swiss guard they got down there, the keys to the Vatican, there ain't nothing to it. And the weapons of our warfare, they are not carnal. But I can take that thing here, come right down through here and beat at you clear and beat at you clear to death into humble submission. Freddie, fear not the man that can kill soul, but rather fear Yahweh, who can destroy both soul and body. I'm looking right at what I'm talking about, and listen, I don't have no respect whatever. None. I don't have none for myself as a man. And you know good and well I ain't caring nothing about you, not as no man. All flesh is as grass to me, and your reputation don't amount to nothing. Paul's didn't, and I didn't see nothing no good in everybody. All them good things I've done as a man. Somebody says, well, I'll tell you what, said, I've been a lady all my life. Well, that ain't no more than you ought to do. What are you crowning about? Moral code? What are you crowing about? Moral code? You ain't done nothing. I ain't trying to make no reputation for myself. I'm just preaching the gospel. Now, children, we've been overtime. I told you this was a special meeting, and I didn't want to keep you overtime. But I do know this. I've been in this thing long enough to know I cannot tell, neither can you learn in no 2 hours. And this thing is going to have to come to you as a realistic faith, as realistic faith comes by hearing. And if it don't come like that, you're not going to believe. You can't. That's an impossibility. Otherwise, you are skeptic. And you know yourself, every time somebody asks you over here, the first thing you do is start and scratching your head and say, well, I don't know. I'll have to look it up or something. You're admitting you don't know. You see what I mean? Well, now, what I'm trying to tell you is to make you see Yahweh, and we have a very short time. Now let me say this. Now listen. Here's the creation from the flood. There's the creation back to the garden. Now here to the flood. See this 1656 from the flood to the crucifixion of Yahshua. And now we're down in this present age. This is where we are now. And Yahshua said this age here, this antediluvian, post-diluvian, present. The flood ended this world or age. This ended. Yahshua's crucifixion ended that, and now we're over here. And now the next age. What's going to happen here? He didn't say then. This is immortality. Now, an age is approximately 2,000 years, but this is only 1656. This is 2381. And now this is 1932. Say, listen, if you're going to get saved, if you're going to get saved, you better come on down here. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. Now, what he's talking about, you have an inner man, and Yahshua died, and now, then, he's all beyond death. It's once appointed unto man to die.
Joshua has died, and now then we're all beyond death.
Yeah. And now we're all beyond death. Thank you. It's once appointed unto man to die. But after this, the judgment. Now the Messiah was raised. He's risen from the dead. Death has been abolished, and life and mortality both brought to light. This is after death. So now, if you are living with him, Yahshua in you, he's alive, then that's never gonna die, But this flesh here, it's got to be, you see, it's got to be a change. The whole entire creation has got
Excuse
to
me.
undergo.
It's got to be taken off.
Oh,
But
thank you. It's got to be taken off. Don't make no difference if they bury you in a hole or cremate your body or whatnot. You see, it's got to be a change. The whole entire creation has got to undergo a change because it's got to go back to the place from which it come. Rise and let us go. Thank you, Dr. Allen.
Well, thank you. That was great reading. Woo!
The transcript.
I know.
Okay.
That's a beautiful one. People wanted to know what it was. This transcript is called. Come on. Oh. 41 pages of goodness. I'm sorry.
Rolling down.
I'm sorry. I'm so slow. Talk about for 1965 special 3-hour meeting, Cosmogony to Eschatology, also called Beginning to Ending, also called The Godhead Through Ages and Dispensations. This is by Dr. Kinley, 1965. The reason, and we're going to read this again tomorrow and break it down and get to understand it a little bit better. The reason that we're doing this is that there's going to be a gathering in Northside Chicago, and this is their topic, eschatology. So I just found this. I hadn't read this deeply, but this is a wonderful one, and it's called Cosmogony to Eschatology, or From Beginning to Ending. Anybody? Go ahead.
Latoya put it in the chat if anybody needs it.
Yeah.
Yes.
We thank everyone that came out to study with us today. We hold class.
The pest control's here to inspect. And you're not the only one that's getting inspected. Everybody.
Okay, I got a thing in the door. Yes.
Okay, wait a moment. That's somebody having a private.
We thank everyone that came out to study with us today. We hold classes Tuesday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and 12 p.m. to 2 a.m. in Malaysia, and 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. in England. Jamaica class study Sundays, 7 p.m. Eastern. Also from Monday and Thursday class from 7:30 to 9 p.m. Brooklyn, New York. May we all stand in our hearts and minds for the doxology taken from the last 2 verses of the book of Jude from the Holy Bible, Holy Name Bible. Now unto him that is able to keep you from falling and to present you faultless before the presence of his glory with exceeding joy, to the only wise Elohim, our Savior, through Yahshua the Messiah, our sovereign, belong glory and majesty, dominion and power, both before all times and now and ever. Let us all say hallelujah.
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 Yeah, bless your day.
Yours too, baby brother. Love you.
Love you.
Take care.
I'm sorry, I haven't been having the classes in Jamaica because I've been taking the subway to get back from class, so it delays me. But we are meeting tonight, and we're going over the textbook. Unless we have somebody, second chapter of this text, second volume of the text, unless we have somebody new. So thank you very much.
Is the Jamaica class canceled on Sundays?
Yes.
Okay.